Ireland's Prime Minister Brian Cowen hailed this agreement with the EU and the IMF as the best deal available to Ireland. But the opposition doesn't see it that way. It has roundly criticised the agreement, in particular the participation of the National Pension Reserve Fund, if you like, a rainy day fund. It's also angered by the interest rate of 5.8%. Now, it's not punitive, but it's hardly generous. It is more than what Greece, for example, is paying for its bailout that it received back in May, but it is slightly less than what some people had feared. Finance Minister Brian Lenihan went into the budget knowing that one slip-up failure to get it passed would jeopardise the EU-IMF bailout package and cause the government to collapse. Protest as they might, though, this evening's vote on the budget here at the Irish Parliament, the first of several, was passed. And if all goes to plan, there'll be fresh elections in the new year, which Prime Minister Brian Cowen's Fianna Fáil party seems almost certain to lose. Black days for Ireland. But for multinationals like Hewlett-Packard, with 4,000 employees here, it remains a great place to be. A young, educated workforce, access to the single European market, and, perhaps most importantly, a corporation tax rate of 12.5%. Raising this, says the head of its Irish operations, could have serious consequences.
HP is very clear. If the tax rate increased, we would be re-looking at our investments in Ireland. Because I think one of the key reasons we came to Ireland was for the 12.5% tax rate. And we believe that should stand as part of this negotiation.
He's not alone. Ireland's 12.5% corporate tax rate is the lowest in the euro area after Cyprus. Bulgaria is the only other EU member that charges less. Ireland's rate is around a third of that in Germany, France and the UK, helping attract so much foreign investment that multinationals account for a fifth of Ireland's GDP. Ireland's finance minister, he's the one on the right, says the corporate tax rate is a red line the country will not cross. But the German government says raising this tax rate may be the price Ireland must pay for a bailout.
The corporation tax rate is sacrosanct. That was written into the post-Lisbon Treaty Agreement, and the very fact that it should have been raised by Germany and France points to some element of, I won't call it bad faith, but significant pressure on the Irish authorities. The CT rate is hugely important for American and other companies in Ireland, and it is a deal breaker.
Ultimately, it may come down to who blinks first. Ireland, which runs the risk of a banking meltdown and sovereign default, or the troika of EU, IMF and European Central Bank, which is concerned that the crisis could spread. On Monday, it did, from the economy to politics. The Prime Minister announcing the dissolution of Parliament once the budget's been passed. New elections could take place as early as January. Elliot Gotkin, Bloomberg, Dublin. There are some things that just scream London. The people behind the city's new cycle scheme hope this bike will soon join them.
Success will be gauged by people using it, people enjoying it, a great customer experience, and really saying, how did we live without it?
Certainly you can't help but notice the preparation. 400 of these have sprung up around town to accommodate 6,000 bikes. The bikes themselves, which are made in Canada, are designed for durability rather than speed or style. And assuming they avoid getting lost, damaged or stolen, they're expected to notch up 60,000 kilometres during their 15-year lifetimes. Serco, which already runs London's Docklands Light Railway, won the £140 million contract to manage the scheme for 6 years. It'll cost around £20 million a year to operate, most of which will be offset by customer payments and Barclays' £25 million sponsorship. Though modelled on Montreal, Paris is the benchmark. The Velib rent-a-bike scheme is the biggest in the world. It's 4 times the size of London's and, by contrast, isn't subsidised by taxpayers.
We invented the new way of public transport. We're operating 45,000 bicycles in 45 markets around the world. We've had about 130 million rentals since we launched the first system in Vienna in 2003, 80 million of which happened in Paris.
Jean-François says 16,000 bikes have been stolen or damaged. Back in Britain, the capital's cycling mad mayor is undeterred and has been getting very excited.
it'll be a while before it makes, money for the taxpayer. This is an investment in the quality of life in London.
For members, a half-hour ride is free. Take one for the day though, and you'd spend less hiring a car. So if you do borrow one, best to keep one eye on the road and the other on the clock. Elliot Gotkin, Bloomberg, London. The Bank of England has been setting interest rates for more than 3 centuries, but never before have they been below 2%. The bank was founded in 1694 to act as the government's banker and debt manager. Rates that year stood at 6%, and they would go no higher until 1847, when they hit 8%. 10 years later, rates hit double digits for the first time, as Britain and France go to war with China over the opium trade. With one exception, they won't reach this level again until the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. As the parlous state of Britain's economy has become clearer, policymakers have been raiding their arsenals and firing whatever they can at this recession. Just last week, the Bank of England here cut interest rates to 1.5%, the lowest in its 300-year history. But as rates approach zero, there's not much more that the central bank can do on its own.